how does it play here where we have both sides that lied? You have Nicolae who to the initial investigator stating that the kids had the knife. And I gotta stop saying kids because again, these are young adults. These are not like 10-year-olds that were playing in the river. These are full blown, football player kids and stuff. That that they had the knife. Initially, it was him who had it in his pocket. But he admitted to it on the stand when he gave his testimony. He really came clean on anything. And like, here's what happened. Here was the emotions. You had some of the kids up there still kind of being their defiant. It doesn't really matter what I say self, just like they didn't really care that they did that day. There's just a level, I don't know. There's something missing. I feel like in some of these kids of like a moral compass. I don't know any other way to describe it. But there's the one that lied and said that, oh no, he came out of the bushes and he was looking for little girls. Complete bullshit. Not even remotely true. And then they cornered him on the stand and he still was kind of like finding a way to try and weasel himself out of that testimony. How do you think it's going to play to a jury? Both sides lying, two different types of people lying.
In my appraisal, both sides were lying, two different types of people, but also two different types of lies and two different ways of handling it.
Yeah.
So on the defense side, Nicolae Miu, he did lie about the knife thing, and that's of course doesn't look good for him. But he really came clean. It was kind of straight up with this jury, in my opinion,
Mhm.
as to like that inaccuracy and other inaccuracies, and he looked like he wasn't holding anything back. Whereas the government witnesses, that these young adults, didn't really come clean about any of the things that were probably demonstrably untrue. There were some things they testified to that the video shows can't be true,
Mhm.
and they didn't really have any accountability or any explanation or any coming clean about it to the jury. So I think the jury on that issue may side with defense.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like it was a lot of petulant kids who, and obviously, again, horrible. One of them died, and several of them got maimed pretty well. But nobody wanted to just admit their own fault in this. It seemed on the part of the kids. They all just seemed to be very much like, we are the victims here. Yes, to a certain extent, you are. But at the same point, what if it was the other way around? He had a heart condition. And he could have died several other ways with a mob attacking him in the water. Had he suddenly gone into cardiac arrest and died, we'll be trying, this mob of children for first degree intentional homicide as well.
I think a prudent prosecutor would absolutely explore that if the tables were turned. Because look, like I said, especially at least as far as I can tell, the young adults appeared to be not only the initial aggressors but the primary aggressors until the stabbings occurred. And from that juncture, it's a recipe for a nightmare happening, and no doubt the young adults played a substantial role in what have ultimately transpired.
What about the parents in any of this? That's another part that I was kind of surprised. There were adults around there, but they kind of let these children, Lord of the Flies esque, again, young adults, do what they're going to do. I couldn't contemplate being in a mob like this with parents around going, oh, yeah, you do what you want to do. You do you. I would The parents would have thrown us under the water if they saw us treating an adult this way. But they're there. These are underage, under legal drinking age kids, drunk as hell, doing this behavior, chanting and rowdy and cheering and happy as they're beating this guy up who's looking for a phone. Why no charges there yet? Why aren't we looking at that for, I don't know, contributing to a minor and alcohol, and there's got to be plenty of charges that could be looked at there, but it just seems like the accountability here is really weighing on the guy that defended himself.
The alcohol piece was just a substantial factor in how this happened, any way you look at it. and the parents know the ages of their own children, you could probably surmise the relative ages of someone else, or at least have a concern that, gosh, these kids look a little young to be walking around with drinks in their hand. So they don't do any. The parents don't do anything there, and then one of the parents actually directs his kid to go see that that altercation that's happening. Why don't you go check that out? Just a lot of questionable decisions by some of the parents in this, admittedly chaotic moment.
Wisconsin has a drinking problem, without a doubt. I grew up there. I'm not super surprised that everyone was drunk or that the kids were doing it like this. At the end of the day, where do you think this goes for Nicolae with the arguments that have been made, the video that we see? Um, yeah, I mean, how does this end for him? Can and can and
As
can
the
and get
trial has proceeded,
and can I didn't mean to interrupt you. And can
yeah.
there be lesser charges too? Because we're talking first degree intentional homicide. That's almost like he was standing over by his friends on the other side of the river saying, "I'm going to go kill me some kids." That's not what happened. That is not at all what happened. Reckless, maybe, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, totally. No, I think that in the beginning of this trial, I was like, oh, this old dude stabbed 5 kids. He's gonna be fried, man.
Yeah.
But as the trial has gone on, that hasn't been my impression at all. And so I think we're getting towards something that could look like a self-defense acquittal verdict. And if that happens on first degree murder, I think it happens on any lesser included offense too, and even lesser non-included offenses, because self-defense is self-defense.
Hmm.
So they couldn't really acquit him of murder on self-defense charges, but convict him of assaulting somebody because he would have been acting in self-defense for the assault too. So at least in my appraisal, I think we're getting close to a self-defense acquittal. What the jury may wrestle with the fact that a knife was used and stabbed 5 people. Was that behavior reasonably necessary to defend Nicolae Miu? That could be an issue the jury wrestles with, but I'm leaning towards Miu on this one so far.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.